You are as wonderful as the flower communion bouquet. I close my eyes at the beginning of the meditation, keep them closed through the prelude, and then when I open them, you're all here, and it's lovely. Let's take 3 deep breaths together and finish arriving and sort of get ourselves in sync. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And one more time. Breathe in and breathe out. All right, the microphone is popping. I'm going to move over to the pulpit, and maybe it won't do it again. I did all sorts of calisthenics before the service to try to get it to make noise, and it was completely well behaved. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to those of you who are here. Welcome to those of you who are listening on our live stream. Welcome to you who are in the future visiting on our YouTube channel. To visitors and longtime members, we are glad to have you here with us this morning. If you would like, take a minute and say hello to someone seated nearby, just really briefly. Hi, I'm glad you're here. All right. And let's come back together. All right. If you can hear my voice, shh. There's a reason we usually put that at the end of the service. Now I remember. We're grateful for everyone who works to make this service happen. Lydia on the piano, Dell leading the songs, Jill who created the beautiful chancel arrangement today. Excuse me. The tech team who allows us to be seen and heard, Michael and Jim and John, and to everyone who keeps our community going, Mary and Aaron and Doug in the office, and our parking lot security folks, and the folks who make the coffee and lay out the snacks, and the folks who greet. All of you are so wonderful, and we are so glad you are here. Leslie is our worship associate this morning. I am Gail Mariner. I'm the minister here. I use she, her pronouns. And today is the gathering where this community is celebrating Pride. We had all right, shout it out. If you were there, what kind of a day did we have yesterday? I had an awesome day. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Many people marched, many people came to our booth in the plaza. We extended invitations to folks who are at the parade to join us anytime, in person or online. And we hope folks take us up on that offer. And if you were at the parade yesterday, just wave. Yeah, lots of us were there. Pride is a lot of things. And it is also very squarely about living authentic lives and expressing genuine love. If you would get out your gray hymnal now and open to number 6, and as you are able, stand and join us in singing, Just as Long as I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I've made my way, still with hope I meet it. I ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. in my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. As long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life.
We light the chalice here and invite you online to kindle your chalice or candle. Today, we celebrate the path taken by high heels and hiking boots over the recently relative past of what was called gay liberation. This struggle to be able to openly love whom you choose and to live openly as the person you are is certainly what queer folk worked for and fought for in physical, intellectual, legal, and spiritual engagements for decades. This month's Pride celebration honors all of that. We are aware that these elements of our freedom are in the crosshairs of Christian nationalists, especially of the religiously themed New Apostolic Reformation, and that the passion of drag queens and the clear-headedness of drag kings will likely be called on once again to make good trouble for the queer communities. Securing liberty is not a one-and-done event or epic, and none of us is free until all of us are free. And we light the flame for freedom. Fred Small is a singer-songwriter, lawyer, and justice activist for the environment. He also graduated from Harvard Divinity a year after Rev. Gale and is a UU minister. He responded to a request that a lesbian couple made to him for something that they could offer their child that captures values that are very much in keeping with what we know here. It's called Everything Possible. You may know this song. If you do, or if it is new to you, I ask you now to just take a moment, and if you're comfortable, let your eyes soften or close, and imagine this as a lullaby being sent to your inner little one. These are words all children have the right to hear. Imagine how they might land in the hearts of LGBTQIA+ people. Dell will sing the beautiful chorus, and I will speak the verses, and Lydia will play the beautiful melody for us. We have cleared off the table, the leftovers saved. Washed the dishes and put them away. I have told you a story and tucked you in tight at the end of your knockabout day. As the moon sets its sails to carry you to sleep over the midnight sea, I will sing you a song no one sang to me. May it keep you good company.
Oh, you may be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can choose one special one. And the only measure of your words and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone.
There are girls who grow up strong and bold. There are boys, quiet and kind. Some race on ahead, some follow behind. Some go in their own way and time. Some women love women, and some men love men. Some raise children, and some never do. You can dream all the day, never reaching the end of everything possible for you. Don't be rattled by names, by taunts, by games, but seek out spirits true. If you give your friends the best part of yourself, they will give the same back to you.
Oh, you can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. You can travel any country where your heart leads, and know that I will love you still. You can live by yourself. You can gather friends around. You can glow that heart and feel. You're the dear treasure of your words, and your deeds will be the love you leave behind when you're gone.
Thank you both. So in a piece titled Queerly Beloved by Karishma Gottfried in a blog, a UU blog called Braver Wiser, she writes, "As I studied queer theology in seminary, I've actually become more and more convinced that Unitarian Universalism itself is a queer faith. Defined not by a creed passed down through generations, but by the real-world commitments we make to each other in the present. Unitarian Universalism even queers the idea of theology itself, not requiring theos, God, to do the logos talk. Our God talk includes the atheists and agnostics and polytheists and all of those who endeavor to engage for the search for truth and meaning." I think Karishma might be onto something. I think Unitarian Universalism might, in fact, be a queer faith. Queer in the sense of odd or strange or magical. Queer in the sense of different and surprising and open to possibilities. Queer in the sense of defying expectations and reaching outside of the constraints that our culture places on religion, in the same way that the members of the LGBTQIA+ community expand past the perimeters of cultural expectations around gender and sexuality, around gender identity and attraction. Now, to queer a thing is to make it magical, strange, or odd. And in the case of Unitarian Universalism, we might think of queering our faith as waking us up to the full spectrum of human uniqueness and creativity, and moving us away from all kinds of binaries, gender and sexual orientation binaries, any other kind of binary that is out there as well, black and white and young and old and immigrant or native born. And instead, reaching out to embrace what is unique, exceptional, special, to be cherished in each one of us. That kind of learning, to go from seeing a world in black and white and in binary opposition, to go to seeing a world where everything is all the colors of the rainbow, takes a long time. But we've been doing it for a while now, some of us all of our lives, and some of us at least all of our UU lives. And so I wanted to just touch on a little bit of the history, and this is from a timeline in our UU Tapestry of Faith curriculum. So back in 1969 were the Stonewall riots. That was in June, and the following June at the next General Assembly, the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly passed a resolution to end discrimination against homosexuals and bisexuals. That was the language we used then. The resolution included a call to create a new sexuality education program to promote and teach healthy attitudes towards diverse forms of sexuality. That led to the creation, a year later, of About Your Sexuality, AYS, now in a second generation called OWL, Our Whole Lives, which taught positive attitudes about everyone's sexuality, regardless of their gender identity or sexual orientation. It took till 1980 before our faith got comfortable enough with this idea of diversity, with this adding of additional colors to the rainbow, before we passed a resolution calling for congregations and the UUA to welcome and ordain openly gay, lesbian, and bisexual religious leaders. That long, 1980. Now, about that same time, clergy in this faith began officiating at ceremonies of union for same-sex couples. Now, that didn't become an official UU thing until 1984. We were trying hard, but as a faith tradition, we still defaulted to old patterns and started seeing things in black and white and gray instead of in colors of the rainbow when we weren't paying attention. And so in 1989, the Welcoming Congregation program was launched. This was a program to help congregations become more inclusive of members of the LGBTQ community. That's what we called it then. And this congregation, UU Santa Fe, became a welcoming congregation fairly early on. Standing on the Side of Love, now Side with Love, was created 2 decades later, and a lot of things happened in the center, but we'll in between those 2 decades. But if we go over every detail, we won't get done. So the next really visible thing was Standing on the Side of Love, now Side with Love, which was created in 2009 in response to the shootings at a UU welcoming congregation in Knoxville, Tennessee. Many of you will remember that. It wasn't long before Unitarian Universalists started showing up in our yellow t-shirts, and Jim, hold up your yellow hat, and our yellow hats, at all kinds of events that were about people's freedoms and independence, people's ability to love, people's ability to be valued for their inherent dignity and worth, whether the issue was LGBTQIA rights, marriage equality, or whether it was about immigration. I was ordained in 1995, which means that ceremonies of union and LGBTQ clergy colleagues and congregants have been part of my experience of Unitarian Universalism from the start. They are normal in the world I inherited. In '96, the UUA Board of Trustees and GA passed a resolution supporting gay marriage. That was 1996. In '97, we sponsored our first training on transgender issues. In 2004, gay marriage became legal in Massachusetts. In 2010, I took my second grade twins from Duluth in the bus down to St. Paul to lobby for marriage equality. In 2013, we hosted a Y'all Come and Get Married celebration a week or so after marriage equality became a reality here in New Mexico. It's easy to rattle it off now, but it wasn't easy while it was happening. Those of us outside the LGBTQIA community often found ourselves a little bewildered. We suffered from heart lag, that sense that our heads knew one thing, but our hearts hadn't quite caught up yet. We knew how we were supposed to feel, but we were a little unsure about how to express that. We made mistakes. And thankfully, those among us who were members of the queer community didn't give up. They stuck with us as individuals, and they stuck with us as Unitarian Universalists. As a faith, and as individuals, we are all better for having learned to see beyond the binaries that permeate our culture and to enjoy the rainbow. We are all richer for having opened our hearts to all the ways that people can love. We are more soulful for having grasped that there are many ways to understand the holy, the numinous, the mystery of life. We are wiser and happier for embracing our own unique and magical idiosyncrasies and particularities and identities. We are blessed by the realization that we do not need to think alike, or dress alike, or dance alike, or worship alike, and by the understanding that we can love alike, even as we love differently. It is good to be together in a faith that puts love at the center as we widen the circle and celebrate pride together.
Our weekly ritual of remembering and recommitting connects us always to the natural world. The mountain rock reminds us that this land where we are gathered, called by the Tewa-speaking people Ogepoge, is their ancestral and ongoing homeland across generations, our present day, our lives combined with our histories that seek ongoing awareness and reconciliation. The geode reminds us that although violence certainly does seem to be endemic in our world, our labors to create peace and liberation are available to us to pursue. The third stone, from the mountains to the east of Santa Fe, embedded with fossils, shows us that this place was once the floor of a fertile ocean, and reminds us that climate itself brings unimaginable changes. The fourth stone, with its sides connected by crystals, speaks to the bright boundaries between us that are actually our places of connection as we regain and sustain our democracy. Nothing that needs to be changed will change unless we, in community with other good-hearted people, awake and make effort to unravel racism, mend generational patterns of violence, and live peaceably and regeneratively on our planet. So may it be.
So we set aside a time most Sunday mornings for the sharing of sorrows and joys that shape and influence our lives. We do this knowing that sorrows shared are easier to bear and joys shared are multiplied. So we have a candle of gratitude to begin with for the marchers and those whose warmth made our UU booth at Pride a wonderful time for so many yesterday. We discovered we are everywhere. Barbara and Steve Pollard would like a candle of joy. They are celebrating their 52nd wedding anniversary tomorrow. Can we have, yes, twinkles and applause? Thoughts and prayers are requested for Nancy and Will Fulton's brother-in-law, Jack Stacy, and family, as he faces his final days with grace and courage. Our hearts go out to them all. Elizabeth has informed me there are no birthdays for people over 70 this week. Yeah, I guess that means you get to skip a year if, I don't know. But she also invites anyone who would like to please stop at the card writing table. We do have 6 members who will turn 89 and older this month. It's just not this week. I guess in July, so not for the balance of June. We send healing thoughts as well with a candle of support to our longtime member Bev Brunson as she recovers from a recent surgery. Now, when you live in Santa Fe, and I learned this almost as soon as I arrived here, people come to visit. And visitors on Sunday morning, we got more. Thank you, Aaron. Visitors on Sunday morning is a great delight. So I am going to do one more joy, and then we will do visitors. So the joy that was just brought in is from Greg Berg, who is happy to report that he and 5 of his Tai Chi Chis students took a field trip on Thursday to the Tai Chi Chis Center in Albuquerque. That is where Tai Chi Chi was actually created. And Dirk and Donna and Karen and Jill and Ruth were able to practice with 20 other students and teachers. Get this out of the way here. All right, visitors. We got lots of visitors today, and that's so much fun. It is a delight to share our Unitarian Universalism here in Santa Fe with Unitarian Universalists, quite often, who are visiting from somewhere else. So we have Dan and Donna Kopp. If you feel like waving, wave. Yay. If you don't feel like waving, that's okay, but it doesn't mean we won't say hello to you after the service. We have Susie and Bob Walling from Surprise, Arizona. Welcome. We have Marama and Ladon here in Santa Fe. Yay, welcome. Good to see you both. Have you with us. We have Amanda McKinley and Ben Lamons, whose wedding I got to do very recently. We have Chandra Benjamin with us, and Bill Riker and Lois Fuller. Yay, it is fabulous having all of you with us this morning. We are so grateful that you are here. Would you light one more candle, if you can fit one in, for all of the sorrows and joys we have heard, and for all those that we carry in our hearts as yet unspoken. And now I invite you to join me singing Spirit of Life. If you need the words, it's 1, 2, 3 in the gray hymnal, but you can also just listen to Del and follow along.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Resting now on the echoes of the music, let's move together into a time of quiet and contemplation. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, to settle yourself in your chair, to take a breath, and as you exhale, to let your body relax. Breathe and let your thoughts drift. Breathe and feel your heart soften and open. Breathe and become aware of all of the people who are in the room with you. Know that as you open your heart to the joys and sorrows, to the sadness and difficulty, to the contradictions and consternation that are so much of being human in our time, that you don't have to carry that alone. Breathe and feel yourself held. For our Pride meditation today, I'd like to offer you 2 poems from a new book called Love is for All of Us, Poems of Tenderness and Belonging from the LGBTQ+ community and their friends. So the first one is from Rosemary Watola Tromer. It's called Love, comma. Though I am undeniably broken, I come to you with no need to be fixed. I come to you the way one river meets another river, not joining out of thirst, but because there is so much power and beauty in giving oneself to another, in moving through the world together. I come to you the way a half moon comes into the yard. I could be more whole, but in the meantime, I will bring you everything that I have. We are all broken and fragile, incomplete, bent by the constraints of a culture bent on control. And we are all of us so much more than that, if only we can learn to see it in each other. This next poem is by Brad Peacock. It's called Look Deeper. From outside appearances, I may be a middle-aged man now with gray in my beard and hair receding like an ocean tide, and crow's feet permanently imprinted on the corners of my eyes, each line like a Rolodex full of stories. The good and the bad, the joy and the sad. But dig a little deeper under the surface, and you will find a little boy who will always live inside the walls of this aging body. A younger self who did not have the words, did not have the voice or the skills to navigate the complex world he was born into. Insecure and scared, he always pushed his needs down to take care of others, frozen in fear from seeking the love he always wanted, until his light was nothing more than one last smoldering ember, almost extinguished beneath a pile of ashes, having almost given up on this life. Now, I walk down gravel roads with my husband, side by side, paying close attention. We help one another heal, comforting those 2 little boys forever within us, hand in hand, growing older together, finally finding our way home. We need to look deeper, beyond the acceptable facades, to the particulars, to the unique gifts, to the queerness and desire that we keep hidden. And then we need to look deeper still, past all of those intersectional identities of race and gender and orientation and skin color and ethnicity and class and education and occupation, past all of that, until we find the spark of something more at the core of one another's being. Call it self or soul or spirit, the something more than the sum of all our parts. Beautiful, unexpected, tender, broken, dignified, fierce, worthy, and beloved. Oh, my friends, we are all called to love all of one another's parts and the something more within each of us. The whole that emerges, the beloved.
It's really surprising to me, although it shouldn't be, that Rev Gail and I have very similar things to say to you. It must have been, We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it. We also didn't talk about what stoles we would wear today, and they're exactly the same. There's something going on, and I believe that what it is the repetition of things may be what we need to hear multiple times, so bear with me. The song, the words, you can be anybody that you want to be. You can love whomever you will. These words, they create such possibilities, right? No limits, no one shoulding you, no one shoulding on you. These words are invitations to try, to risk, to expand. What might that be like for a little human? Those little boys of the poem, those little girls, those little people. If you got these messages at home, what was it like? Hearing that you can be anybody that you want to be. And as you got a bit older, the encouragement to love whomever you will. No shoulds, no restrictions. Imagine being a young human and having these wide open doors for you and for your relationships. Imagine. Don Miguel Ruiz, who authored the Four Agreements, and it's down there if you forget what it looked like, it came out a while ago. And it's one of my favorite things that I return to again and again. And in setting the context for the practices, the four practices that he gives us, and these practices sort of dispel self-limiting beliefs, what he does is he tells us about the process of domestication first. He says that as little humans, we come into the world in love, wanting to please and to be accepted and to belong with our parents. He says our desires to please are so strong that we agree with our parents, whatever they present to us, and they tell us how the world is to be and how we can be part of the world, how we can be good and fit in. And also, how if we're bad, we won't fit in. We believe what they say. We accept it fully. So we could be hearing the words of that lullaby and come to believe that we could be anything that we want to be. And yet, maybe that isn't what the big humans in your life even knew what to say. Maybe they had no idea. You know, because those adults were once little people too. And they were told by their parents. And they were told by their parents. And on and on. And I'm abbreviating Ruiz's narrative here quite a bit, so bear with me. He contends that what we're all told works for the system. He says, all our normal tendencies are lost in this process of domestication. We are rewarded for agreeing with the story that's given about how the world is. So early on, think of those little balky 5-year-olds that you know, and those rebellious 15-year-olds. We try to assert our true belief, and the system, family, teachers, mosque, synagogue, church, gathering house, wherever, media, social media now, and so on. The system has ways of pushing back at us and punishing us for anyone who goes against it. And I ask this group of humans, where did you go against the system as a young human? How did that work out for you? Might it have gone differently? Ruiz tells us further that those normal tendencies that we were born with, after they got pushed down when we asserted ourselves, they go quiet. Young humans often have a true north about many things. They talk to unseen beings. They feel connected to family members who have died. And they know that there's a loving energy that surrounds them and that they will readily accept the label of God or nature or energy or Brahman that kind of aligns with what they're trying to say to us and what they're hoping to convey of their own inner experience. So the words of the lullaby do align with what they know. And the systems that predominate don't align. And we are domesticated out of these connections. We go to the convenient boxes that families, society, religion, and media create for us. We're all aware of that. We know it happens. And so I ask you as a group of humans, when might have this happened to you? That you found yourself in a box, not of your own making. You know, families have their ways, at least my family had my way, maybe your family doesn't have its ways, but social groups have theirs, religious traditions have theirs, and they also hook in concepts like the universe or the divine to enforce what I will call religious domestication. So I'm going to segue here, because I do that, to Cass Elliot. Mama Cass of the Mamas and the Papas? Okay. In the 1960s, a lyric of hers went this way: "Nobody can tell you that there's only one song worth singing. They may try and sell you, 'cause it hangs them up to see someone like you. But you gotta make your own kind of music. Sing your own special song. Make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings along." Remember that? That nobody else singing along thing, that's part of the system's punishment. Someone that sings their own song can be isolated. But she says, do it anyway. So again, group of humans, what does it feel like, do you suppose, to that young human when nobody else sings along? Another segue. This is the end of the month of June and of Pride Month. It's almost over. Hang in there. We got a couple more days, one more day. This is the month of the whole long line of letters, right, that join one isolated group to another. Gays, initially gay men, to lesbians, to bisexual people, to trans folk, to those who are questioning, to intersex people, to asexual people, and more all the time. Have you noticed? Gets more and more. And everyone's trying to find their color. We're going to figure that. And they make their own colors. So I was going to introduce queer, but that already got taken away earlier. And it does still mean, right now, still means strange or odd according to the Gospel of Merriam-Webster. And queer is sometimes used as an umbrella term for the whole group of us that celebrate Pride. If you grew up before Jimmy Carter's presidency, anyone grew up? Am I the only one? If you grew up then, you may remember that queer was a derogatory term. Remember that? So one example of that, just specifically, when I was 9 years old and I was in 4th grade, there was a playground taunt that only queers wear green on Thursdays. I didn't have any idea what a queer was. Despite the gay couples that my parents entertained at home, and the 2 sisters, both public school teachers, who lived across the street from us, kind of like a couple. But I knew not to wear green on Thursday. I even used to check my underwear to make sure there were no little green leaves on my, because I didn't want green anywhere. I knew somehow, even though I didn't know what that meant, that that word applied to me somehow, and it wasn't good. Okay, so fast forward to the mid-1990s, and the emergence of queer theory that Rev Gail mentioned. And I bring attention to this moment in the process of queering something. To queer something is to shake it up. Shake yourself up a little bit right now. You're doing a little queer thing there. We take it out of the predictable. We move outside of limits, or considering domestication. This is to rewild something, to open it up to the possible. All right, humans, this is again for you. Where is it in your own life that you've shaken something up, moved outside of limits, rewilded, queered something? Think of it. Where have you done that? And if you haven't done it in a while, this would be a good time. So back to religious and spiritual traditions and how we humans tend to organize and limit and domesticate. Consider any wisdom path that's been around for more than a minute. Consider its primary teacher or the avatar who brought it to us. Beautiful words, beautiful experience. And then observe the power dynamics that overlay this initial beautiful teaching. The expansive initial insights often get boxed in, and in turn, box us in. Rules and doctrines, they limit what's possible, and religion is one very potent force for that process of domestication, right? For people who are not cisgender, for people who are not heteronormative, not found or honored in gender as binary, as either or, we queer folk, well, we often stir up religious talk in order to have a way of even speaking at all about religious sensibilities. We may look into the essence of one spiritual path and find its core, and then finding that that doesn't quite meet our needs, we may move on to another tradition, seeking to find enough threads to weave into something that can hold us but not limit us. So I'm still a relative newcomer to Unitarian Universalist sensibilities, and sometimes I hear that in my own head. But the inherent worth and value of all, that inner voice of wisdom and awareness or conscience, perhaps, is a trustworthy source of guidance that we know about. We know that many things can be true at once. Even sometimes seemingly contradictory things can be true at once. We know that love is the core of action. These sensibilities, for me, make for an unpredictable path. They're not limited by a particular set of do's and don'ts. Not a particular set of good or bad, right or wrong, sacred or profane. The UU path seems to me to be one that continues to ask, not what does the rule book say, or what does the doctrine say I should do, but rather, what does love look like in this moment, in this situation? I hope I'm getting the message here. UUs, in covenanting to be in relationship with one another with respect, offering possibilities of connection through our varying, differing ways of operationalizing these core values, that's how we do it. The UU queer activist Alex Capitan noted that in their estimation, as Rev. Gale said, Unitarian Universalism is a queer faith. When we say that, I wonder, humans, how does that hit you? How does it hit you to know that you're aligned with a queer thing? Alex also wrote, "Queering faith means turning social conventions upside down. It means actively talking about our different beliefs, deeply sharing the practices that make us, each of us, feel connected and grounded, and experiencing joy and wonder in how different they are." You know, it kind of gets boring to know what's the same between us. I mean, we kind of can start with that one. It's really fun to find out what's different. How do I differ from you? How do we navigate these different spaces together? That Alex also said, "My queer faith teaches me that my truth does not depend on you having the same truth. That when both of us can live from a place of truth, different ones, when we can both of us then fully come alive from those places of truth and honor each other's truth, and then both of us will be free." Yesterday, the anniversary of the riots that took place over the 6 days at the mafia-run gay bar on Christopher Street in New York, 56 years ago. Oof. That signaled the start of the modern gay liberation movement. Yesterday saw a sunny, sweet, vibrant Pride March and festival on the plaza in Santa Fe. Pride activities in some cities and states in this country have been curtailed this year. And trans kids, whom we saw kind of a plethora of yesterday, walk by the booth, and their parents, again, a plethora of those, have moved across state lines to be safer, some of them supported by our fellow UU congregations. In Budapest, Hungary, yesterday, under a repressive extremist government, holding pride celebrations has become a criminal offense. Yesterday, 200,000 people, led by the city's mayor and attended by mayors from all over the European Union, defied the dictator's demands and marched for pride. These actions certainly queer the Hungarian landscape. You can be anybody you want to be. You can love whomever you will. Again, humans, what might it cost to agree to the system and not march and not be who you are? Because it costs something to be who you are, but it also costs something to not be who you are. Happy Pride.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you you're anything less than worthy? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than kind? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
You've heard today about national levels of pride. I want to take it much more down to our congregation. And I want to give you a bit of our history. There was an amazing day when the New Mexico Supreme Court decided in favor of marriage equality. It was an amazing day, but that was just the start for us. Reverend Gale decided that we were going to throw the biggest set of marriages ever seen. And we sent people down to the county clerk's office and made an offer to every single couple who got a marriage license. Not just our members. These were people, many of them we never saw before, we never saw after, but that did not matter. We had a strange thing happen, unplanned, that once a year we got a jazz band. For those that might remember Bob Jones and his big jazz band, that was the Sunday that they were going to come. So imagine the back of the church here, filled with a jazz band, not a little one, a big one. When you walked into the church in the library, were couples waiting to be married. We had so many, we did them in batches. And ministers came, Reverend Gail, she stood on the far side. We had a community minister in the center and a minister who had been a previous member of this church who went away and actually became a minister. She was there, and we married them 3 at a time. They ranged from couples that were 80 years old, a retired pediatric eye, ear, note doctor, and her wife, a French professor, to a couple of 2 Latino 20-year-olds that got married, and their church would not even consider marrying them. And we did them batch after batch. And afterwards, just picture in your mind that many couples out in the courtyard. We provided cakes to everyone, every couple. We invited them to bring their friends, and we had people seated everywhere. They cut the cakes all at the same time. That was the most amazing cake cutting ceremony I'd ever seen. And it was just amazing joy. But here's the one little part that I want to add to you. Now, this is a history of our minister. When she came here, Reverend Gail said she wouldn't marry anyone until everyone could be married. On that day, I watched her sign marriage certificate after marriage certificate after marriage certificate. And we did one more on Monday. There was a couple who'd been together forever, an opera singer out of St. Louis, out of Louisiana, and her wife, and that was their anniversary. Many, many years. So we had a wedding for them. And I got to cut wedding videos for every one of those couples and their family. And that was one of the most joyous churches experiences I have ever had. And no one questions now whether Reverend Gail will marry a couple. And it is one of those things that I would like this part of our church's history. This is history made small. That I wanted the newer members of our congregation and the visitors to know what an amazing day that was had by all. Let us take up our offering.
Bear with us just a few more minutes.
Yes. So thank you, everyone. And now we're coming to an end, really. We are running over. And if you need to leave, as you know, you may. And if you want to stay with us, we have a few more things. We will extinguish our chalice. We'll do our hand-holding benediction. And before you leave, would you please open your hymnals and have 170 ready?
Okay. Now, before we go any further, there are 3 things I need to tell you about. 2 of them are happening today, and 1 is happening next week. So, 1, after worship today, there is a ribbon cutting for our Little Free Libraries. It's the Eagle Scout project of Tristan Jameson, June Jameson's great-grandson. So right after the service, if you would like to just hear some words and watch us untie the ribbon, you can come and join that. Also, right after church today, there is a luncheon and then a talk from the New Mexico Immigrant Law Center. The talk is titled "The Immigration Landscape as It Stands." And it will be an excellent opportunity to find out what's going on here in New Mexico in response to our current administration's notions. And then, how many of you are planning to come to the hot dog roast after church next week? Okay, that's fabulous. No, leave your hands up. I'm supposed to get a count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Would you count? Leave your hands up. If you have not already signed up, please see Elizabeth after church so she knows how many hot dogs and buns she needs to buy and if she needs to get some vegetarian ones as well as the usual kind. Okay, thank you. You can put your hands down. Let's extinguish our chalice.
For those of us who are here in this building and those of us joined together in live stream or on the recording, we're going to extinguish the flame of the chalice, but certainly not its fire and passion in our lives. And we listen to the words of New Mexico artist Judy Chicago. Imagine queering the status quo and creating a world we desire. And then all that has divided us will merge. And then compassion will be wedded to power. And then softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind. And then both men and women will be gentle. And then both women and men will be strong. And then no person will be subject to another's will. And then all will be rich and free and varied. And then the greed of some will give way to the needs of many. And then all will share equally in the earth's abundance. And then all will care for the sick and the weak and the old. And then all will nourish the young. And then all will cherish life's creatures. And then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth, and everywhere will be called Eden once again.
All right, friends, reach out and take hands with someone who is sitting or standing near you and repeat after me. May love and skill be in our hands. May love and courage fill our hearts. May love and wisdom light our minds. May love flow through us and walk among us. As we live our lives and work to heal our world. Amen, namaste, shalom, blessed be. Assalamu alaikum, ashe, aho. Okay, and because we are over time, we're going to sing 4 verses of 170, 1 and 2 and 5 and 6, if you want to stay.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing, singing for our lives. We are just a seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are gay and straight together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, loving people, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
Turn and greet your neighbors, friends, and head out into a wonderful week. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. We hope that you enjoyed today's service. Please take a little time and explore our website and visit our online welcome table if you'd like to know more about us. Otherwise, we'll see you next Sunday morning. Stay in touch and be well.